in.
Let me unmute it. Well, if anybody cared what I was saying, Rocko is our special guest, and he is a member of the Phoenix Boys of Leather and the Southwest Center Director of Community Services. And I totally had a great introduction. I didn't have to read anything twice, and I had to fuck it up.
Great job.
Because they heard it. They heard it. It was great. It was wonderful.
It was great. Awesome. Thank you.
So, welcome to Let's Have a Fefe.
Well,
Felicia,
thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
this is welcome. You know how this goes. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. I have an idea. It's all good.
It's okay. So we and Freddy's over there. Freddy's over there, and I want to say it's like a glam rock kind of look.
Yeah, for sure. I have no fucking clue. This is what you get when, I'm socially isolating and yeah. So
you grew your hair out purple?
Back to the hippie future. I like it.
So, Christ. My camera just fell. It's fine. We're fine. We're fine.
Oh,
we're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nothing to see here. We're totally fine. We're totally fine.
Okay.
We can edit this, right? We can edit this, yeah?
Yeah, while everybody's watching. Yeah, completely.
We're fine.
We are Arizona's longest running drag live stream, and it's more than just the gossip. It's the issues that matter most to you. Please share this episode. And we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, which I heard you signed up for. So,
bitch, stupid. I did, yes.
We're brought to you by Wigs of a Kind and The Burly Barber, along with the support of our Patreon supporters, Allison, Best, and Brandon, Casey Starr, Carrie and Corey, Joan, Leanne, and Patricia Mason. You can support us today at patreon.com/letshaveafefe. You can also tip us at the tipping jar at paypal.me/letshaveafefe. Yeah.
Yay.
Sweet.
No. I can't see anything. Oh, how was y'all's weekend?
I actually was fairly productive. I mean, as much as one can be right now. So I don't have a washer and dryer in my stupid fucking condo, and they shut down our laundry room because the homeless people kept trashing it. So,
what?
And with like laundromats and stuff I'm like, ugh. So yeah, I ended up finding a little it's like a little portable washer. It's like the kind that you would get for like your RV kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Like I
like
can
a
wash.
Standalone?
Yeah, it's like a little. It's tiny. It's literally maybe 2 feet high and like maybe 2.5 feet wide. And
didn't Brooklyn have one? Brooklyn has one.
What?
I think Brooklyn has one.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but I now can have clean clothes. I can wash like a few shirts and like.
Good for you.
Some chonies and stuff, and the spinner thing, because like after you wash them, put them in the little spinner thing. The spinner thing is fantastic. It like gets them almost completely dry. So then I just have to hang them on my little rack thing, and then usually in a couple hours, stuff is dry enough for me to put away. So, it's a process. So it's like I can't just do like a quick load of laundry, but it's.
Oh wow!
It serves its purpose, and I can have clean clothes while I am socially isolating. So I'm not like, I'm not mad about it. I mean, it could be worse. And
are laundromats open?
I'm not sure, and even if they were, I don't know that I would go to one because it's almost impossible to maintain any sort of like social distancing, so
you're touching equipment everybody else has touched.
Right. There's no way that they're going to be able to like
Bring your
sanitize
Clorox
everything
wipes,
after
bring your
somebody
Clorox
touches
wipes.
stuff. So it's like, yeah, I'm not even gonna mess with it. Allergies have been kicking my ass. Oh, I did drive up. I forgot about this. I drove up to right around Wet Beaver Creek, which is about 100 miles north, to shoot the video that is going to be used for the Arizona King Show that's happening on the 1st. And let me tell you, first of all, it was a pain in the ass to do that shit by myself. Okay, it's because it was me, my phone, and a fucking tripod. Like it was a fucking pain in my ass.
It's at Wet Beaver Creek, right?
Wet Beaver Creek.
Say it again. Say it again, Rocko. Say it again.
It's actually like one of my. No, seriously, it's just a little. It's about 3 miles north of Dry Beaver Creek.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was great, except for the fact that I was seriously driving around until I found a spot that was isolated because there were people everywhere.
Oh.
Like, I was going to go shoot down by the creek because it's one of my favorite places. I love going to Wet Beaver Creek. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's so nice. And there were fucking huge groups of people just hanging out. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I get y'all are going stir crazy, but this is not an excuse for you to get everybody together and go to the fucking creek. Like, that's not... Yeah, so I ended up out in the middle of, like, an area with all sorts of red dirt, which I'm really glad that I didn't wear what I was going to wear, which involved white pants, because that would have just ended badly. Yeah, that would have just been very bad.
So Wet Beaver and white pants don't go together.
Not so much. In a multitude of... Yeah,
Are you doing some research, Rocko?
Duly noted.
So, but yeah, that was interesting. It was kind of nice to go for a drive and, just kind of get out of the house for something that wasn't grocery shopping, because that's pretty much the only reason I've been leaving my house is grocery shopping. Mm-hmm. So it was nice. And after I was done, I walked down to the creek bed itself, and I went and walked a bit so I could find a spot where it was just me, so I could actually put my feet in the water, and so it was
nice.
Yeah,
that sounds lovely.
It was good. And okay, so I have to tell you guys about this show that I discovered today, and I discovered it today and watched it all today.
What?
Which let's be fair. It's really only about 4 hours total, because it's.
I'm listening. I'll be right back.
You're fine. It's 8 episodes, but each episode is only half an hour, so it's not a full hour or whatever. So it was only about 4 hours worth of show. And this show is on Netflix, and it's called The Midnight Gospel. If you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. You need to be prepared. This show is. It's a project that was put together by the creator of Adventure Time and a comedian whose name I can't remember because I don't really care. But what they did was they took interviews and discussions and conversations that the comedian had with various people like Dr. Drew Pinsky and took these conversations and then threw animation on top of the conversations. But these conversations, the whole show is it's an existential acid trip, is what it is, because they're talking about things like drug use and death and being present in the moment and meditation and things like that, and really kind of deep topics, real topics, they were talking about real things. And then they throw this fucking animation where you're like, what the flying fuck is this?
So did the animation tell a story as well? Or
it did, yes. The animation totally told a story. No, it totally told a story.
It told a story that was related to what was
is the main character, and he's this little sort of alien dude who they have these computers where he can go and travel to different worlds and talk to people on these worlds and interview them. And the interviews are the conversations. Hello. So he's interviewing these people on these different worlds for his podcast. And like that's when they start talking about all these deep things, and he goes back and he uploads all the conversations as his podcast, basically. But like it's this in one of the episodes, he's talking to this weird like deer dog mutant creature thing, and they're having this like deep conversation about death and why she's not afraid of dying, and things like that, while she's being basically fed into a meat grinder by little miniature clowns.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Like I said, it's a fucking it's a mind trip, but the whole fucking show it's brilliant. Like it really is. Like I could not stop watching it, and every single episode I'm like you know how you watch things and you're like, okay, well that was cool, that was good. This actually makes you think and makes you feel things, and like it's bizarre. Like one that like they spent an episode talking about things like forgiveness. Like these are like these are actual like deep real conversations. Then you just have the weird fucked up animation on top of it, and you're just like, okay, what the fuck? But it's I highly recommend it. And you just be prepared that while you're watching it, it is going to make you think, and it is going to make you feel things, and it is going to kind of like you're going to sit there after each episode and be like, wow, like it's crazy.
Yeah, I check it out.
It really is.
I'm looking forward to it.
But I absolutely highly recommend that if you guys haven't found it yet, go find it. Like go watch it. It's called The Midnight Gospel. It's, like I said, it's 8 episodes. They're about half an hour a piece, so it's about 4 hours. And I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. So, well, while Felicia's off doing whatever the fuck Felicia is doing, Rocko, how was your weekend?
My weekend was really great. Yeah, I watched a lot of TV. I LARPed, which is kind of interesting. Live action role play.
How did you do that while social distancing?
Well, you could do it over cam and stuff. So
that's interesting because I'm familiar with LARPing, but I don't know.
Have we talked?
It's tabletop, so it's not. We're not like acting out scenes and stuff. We're just
lame. What the fuck then? No,
it's fun. It's fun.
That's like half-ass. That's a half-ass LARPing. You're in a LARP, you need to be like out somewhere doing shit. Like that's the
right, but then you're in a group, right?
And then you would have been yelling at
TV
him
as well. It was really a boring weekend, but it was still nice. It was good.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think watching a lot of TV is sort of the
thing.
It's the soup du jour.
That's right. That's kind of what we're doing right now because that's pretty much all we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm back.
Right. Yeah. So I did see a good series too, though, called Unorthodox. It's on Netflix.
Ooh, yes.
Also kind of intense, but really, really, really good. You'll cry a little. It's okay.
Oh, wow.
It's really good.
I saw the previews for it, and I was like, ooh, yes.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched it because I was going to, and then I was like, no. When at the time, I was like, no, I need something that's a little bit not as intense. So.
And then you found what you found.
I put it on my list, so I'm going to circle back to it.
It's good. It's good. I mean, I don't know. They don't talk about death so much, but a little bit. I mean, it's about a Hasidic Jewish community. So ultra Orthodox. And this girl grows up in this community. And there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know about those communities. And so, so she escapes. She finds out that she's pregnant. She escapes, goes to Berlin, and her husband and his best friend track her down. Really, really interesting. I highly recommend it.
I love shit like that. Like I'm totally on board with that. Totally on board with that.
Yeah, it was good.
Interesting.
Felicia, how was your weekend since you're back now?
Do we really want to talk about my weekend?
We can just go ahead and skip right over that. No.
But so I shared it on Patreon, but if you're not on Patreon, you just see the before. But Freddy saw the before. So what you see right here is like the clean part of my room usually. Like I move all the junk to the side and then say, oh, okay, this is the show. And so when guests come in, they walk around the heap and come into this like area. Nice. It's like hoarders.
Yeah, pretty much. I can attest to that. Yes.
You have your little.
Well, in cam, it looks really great. In the camera, it looks awesome.
Yeah, that's the important part. So it was starting to get to me because now I'm working from home, and yes.
Apparently, Bruce has something to say. I don't.
But I'm working from home, and I have to stay in here all day, and so it was starting to get to me because I'm one of those like mental space. Whatever's in my mental space needs to go. And so, like, I kept looking at this heap, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get rid of this. So I took a picture before, and then I haven't taken a picture after. I need to finish one thing, and that's organizing my hair. But, but other than that, I can see the floor on this side and the floor on this side, and I can walk a full circle around.
Wow.
Progress.
I want to see if it can stay that way now until I'm back. So, like, well, we'll see.
I cannot promise you that, but part of that was part of my on Sunday I was having, was it Sunday or Saturday?
You're asking the wrong person. I don't fucking know. All I know is I wake up for work. Like, that's pretty much my days. Anyway,
over the weekend, I had a day where everything, like, I felt like crying the whole day. I felt like, well, let me first tell you that coronavirus paranoia is, or anxiety is a real thing.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because my husband, he has what we call a smoker's cough. And it's like a little cough that you're like, oh, okay, whatever, you smoked a cigarette, cool. But it kept going. Like, it was, like, he would, like, finish coughing, and then he would cough again. And I was like, you're the only one that's been out of the house. And I was flipping out. And I was like, we need to take your temperature. Right. We need to. Are you hot? Do you feel short of breath or anything like that? And like I was intently, and I think the majority of me cleaning this room came from when I was having anxiety over that. So
let me control the things I can control.
Yeah. So I was like, I do not want to listen to you cough all day. So I hope you're okay. And if you're not, come and get me. And then I just hid in here and put things away, threw things away, believe it or not. But yeah, I say mental health is a real thing. Take care of yourself when you need it.
Absolutely.
Everybody has their different therapies. I don't condone in harmful ones, but take time for yourself. Also, we're almost at $200 for the Humane Society of Southern Arizona. It's still going on, and we're at 151. I just need somebody to put $50 in there. 49. 50, then we'll be 201. That's fine too. And to round out the weekend, I finished some photos, and I just needed to take my mind off of the weirdness that was happening. And the weirdness seems to continue to happen to me. But I don't want to talk about the other weirdness. But yeah, I'm doing okay.
That's good. I mean, could be worse for sure.
Considering I've been in the house for about 8 weeks, and that was like my first week moment. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's good. So I don't have a good segue into my tip this evening because it's fine. Wow. I know. Segues are hard. But I figure since we actually have Rocko with us, and we don't always get to have somebody on that can kind of that we can chat with about certain things, because not everybody is So anyway, so I was like, well, why not take advantage of the fact that we have Rocko on with us and chat a little bit about things like being in the leather community, being an open / poly relationship, prep, and how everything kind of smooshes together. So I figured we can just sort of, I have some discussion points. We can chat about some stuff and you know, because it's like I said, you know, I talk about stuff a lot, but it's not very often that we have somebody else on that can chat about their own experiences with things.
Yeah.
So I figured, why the hell not? So you are a member of the Phoenix Boys of Leather.
I am.
So tell us, how did you become involved in the leather community, and like how, since you know you first became involved till now, like how has your involvement sort of evolved? Like how, you know, what was it like when you first got into it, as opposed to, you know, where you are now with the whole thing?
Sure. So when I first started exploring it, I was I had I was still in seminary. I had just come out actually, and I was trying to figure myself out and trying to figure out what to do. So I met some people on AOL back in the day. This was like 1993, I guess. So the leather community wasn't a community at all at first. It was really just hooking up with guys, like driving in the middle of the night to Cincinnati, you know, doing stupid things that I probably shouldn't have done.
You know, we've all been there.
Right.
You know, yep.
And then, so I left seminary. I came out as gay, or bi, kind of at the beginning. And then I met some really awesome people some leather folk who took an interest in me, and we developed some really great friendships. And come to find out, like for me, that was a way to really connect with people, not just in some sexual, you know, fetishy sort of way, which is important too. Don't get me wrong, it's fun too. But also to connect with them, like emotionally and you know, person to person in ways that I hadn't really experienced much outside of like church and things like that. So for me it was it was, I don't know, sort of a natural leap. I joined a club called the Lexington Lions Leather and Levi Club, and I made some friendships there that I still hold dear today. And they really kind of pushed me to get more involved in the community. I ran for a contest. That's how a lot of these things start sometimes.
Right, I know, I get that. How do you think most people get started in drag? I'm a compete for this pageant.
Right. So I was I am, I guess, Mr. Bluegrass Drummer from 1999. So I guess I was around the club for a couple of years before that.
So explain to folks real quick what the title of drummer is, because that's not something that, like, I'm sure people hear it and they literally picture a drummer.
You're right. Well, it's you know, marching to the beat of your own drum is kind of the idea, but it's from a porn magazine that was was around in the 80s and 90s called Drummer, and they sponsor the contest, so it's nothing like as more symbolic than that, really. But yeah, they had this whole, you know, it's a lot like the pageant circuit. You know, you win a regional contest and then a state contest. On and on. So I did that. At the time, I was also working for an organization called AIDS Volunteers of Lexington. I started working there in '94, or volunteering in '94, and I worked there for like 5-6 years until then. And so for me, coming out in leather and finding a supportive community and helping people with HIV, and running a prevention program for youth, and talking about sex and becoming very, very comfortable in talking about sex and relationships, really kind of intertwined itself at the beginning for me. So like from 95 to 2000, I worked at this agency, you know, and that was a time when people were being diagnosed with HIV, after they had moved away from Kentucky. This is in Lexington, Kentucky, and they were diagnosed. They moved to New York. They moved to New York after coming out, or San Francisco, or some of the big cities. They got sick and they came home. And they came home to Kentucky, and there wasn't any support system there for them.
Yeah, I can't imagine that Kentucky would be a kind of a good place to be like, oh, I'm HIV positive. I'm gonna move back to Kentucky. Wait, what?
Right. So I started working there in 94, 95, and that was before the medication came out. So I saw a very different side to it for a few years. And then 96, the medication came out, and people walked out of their hospital rooms, and it was incredible.
Wow.
It was incredible to watch this whole sort of dynamic shift happen. Um, and I think that after people stopped dying from this disease in the way that they had been, kind of propelled my own self confidence to move forward and being the fullness of myself, and not being ashamed about being a leather boy and a leather guy, and building those connections and friendships and that sort of thing. Um, yeah.
That's
I think that's
wonderful.
fantastic, honestly. So a good chunk, I don't want to say all because not all, but a good chunk, the majority of the folks that I've met in the leather and kink communities are in poly / open relationships, and we've talked about being being poly and stuff quite a few times on the show because it's something that people tend to have a lot of questions about.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the communication that needs to be there for poly and open relationships to be successful. That kind of thing. So you are okay. Do you consider yourself poly, or do you consider where would you in this where because there different
The
people?
spectrum. Where do you fall in the
different
spectrum?
thing,
So I do consider myself poly. I'm not sure that. So polyamorous. So I'm in 2 relationships. I'm married to my husband. We've been together for 14 years. We just celebrated our 5-year marriage anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's been fun working from home, right? So we get to actually spend all of our day together, and it's
wow.
I don't know, it's really great.
And you guys are still together after spending 24/7 together for the last few weeks. Bravo!
We actually really like each other. So there's that. And then I also have my daddy, Daddy Kenneth. And I've been with him for 9 years. And so I think that for me, for some people, polyamory means sort of serial relationships and maybe a threesome with 3 people who are into each other. My daddy and my husband care about each other. They're great friends, but they're not romantically involved. So I'm kind of the connection point between the 2 of them. And for me, that's really what works. Also, we're open. Like all of us are very open with each other, and we're very we communicate quite well. So my daddy has a husband as well, who's also my best friend, Mohawk or Marcus. So for us, it really, really works. That's not to say that it's always been perfect, but for me, it's about connection. And like an open relationship is fine. We're none of us are monogamous. Some of us are less monogamous than others. But for me, I really prefer to have romantic relationships with the person that I connect with. And I don't go outside of this unit that much.
So when did you kind of like make that leap into being poly? Like, because you identify as a pup as well, right?
I do, yeah. And so that's really kind of how Kenneth and I met. We met with, I was with the boys. It was actually my husband's birthday when we we were really drunk at bunkhouse. I know, surprise. And we were riding back to our house just down the street on Campbell in the back of the truck, and I remember Kenneth saying to me, "Hey, like, have you ever thought about like being a pup or in a sort of DS relationship like that?" And I admit I was like, yeah, I'd love to be. I don't remember exactly the words, but something to that effect. And so Kenneth then went to my husband and asked if it would be okay if he collared me as his pup. And so that's kind of how it all started, unbeknownst to me, actually. And so So at Anvil one night, I think it may have even been Velocity at the time. There was a whole like sort of collaring ceremony, and all of my brothers from the Phoenix Boys of Leather were there, and it was a very very meaningful and very touching sort of event. And so I forgot what your original question was, but
you answered it. You're good. It was when did you kind of make that leap into sort of that monogamous kind of thing into into the whole
For me, like before that, so before 2003, really, I was pretty straight laced, and I didn't have a lot of relationships, and I dated some, but I didn't, I had a boyfriend, but he lived out of town, and so. So it wasn't until really 2003, and I started using drugs, and I started getting involved in that side of things. That when you go down that road, a lot of things just kind of go out the window, and I had to figure all that back out again. So in 2008, we moved here to Phoenix, and we met the Phoenix Boys kind of right away, and I started to build self-confidence from that back again. And for me, like, it was really important to have that community around to reinforce the relationships that I wanted to have. And that's really kind of how it got going with me and Kenneth as well. So my husband was there with me the whole time. And he really is the one that I give credit to for helping me get out of all of that. But when I moved here and developed this sort of community and connections with so many great people and my sir at the same time, is really when I started to stabilize and really understand what this is for me. Before that, it was just about sex or just about like drugs, and then before that, it was before that I worked 75 hours a week, or like all I did was HIV prevention, and so I didn't really understand myself outside of that work mode.
So we have a question. Mimi wants to know, what is a pup? So who better to ask? How would you tell somebody what a pup is?
So to me, and I don't like to speak for the whole pup community.
Trust me, we have to put these. I don't speak for the entire trans community. Felicia doesn't speak for the entire POC community. Like, we get it.
Right.
We have to say that all the time.
Right. But for me, it's about headspace, and it's about finding a space that is sort of an alternate reality where some things are the same, like relationships are the same, but they're viewed from a very different point of view. So when I'm in pup space, when I sort of take on that persona, the mind works in a lot of really strange and exciting ways. And when I go into pup space, then I become the pup. I don't have to think about what I'm going to say next, and I don't have to think about what everything looks like, and I don't have to do all of that. I just have to be, and I just have to have fun. And that's now for
the folks at home. Mm-hmm. What would you say the difference is between being a pup and being a furry? Because they're not the same.
They're not the same.
Thanks for
nothing against furries.
No, they're not this, and that's, I think that a lot of folks will hear pup, and if they're not familiar with anything, in the sort of the leather and the kink community, their mind will just automatically go to like furries and that sort of thing. And we have actually talked about furries on the show. Yeah. But for what in your opinion is the biggest difference between being a pup and being a furry?
So to me, being a pup is a lot more closely aligned with being a boy, except that it just takes on some very specific characteristics. So it's not really necessarily, again, for me, it's not really necessarily about what I'm wearing or what I'm doing to show that I'm doing these things. The puphood is kind of cool, but it's not necessary. And for me, it's about the pup space is really more about connection and pup play and doing this thing in this moment where I can let go of all of these things. Whereas the furries that I know, it's also about the costuming, and it's also about the how I'm going to express myself. When I'm in pup mode, I don't really think much about expressing myself. I kind of just
are. Gotcha.
Right. And taking on sort of the attributes of being a pup, allows me to let go of a lot of other stuff that sort of gets entangled with all of it. Also, when I'm in pup mode, I'm very focused on my handler, and so that's really kind of how Kenneth and I connected as well. Was for me, it's that connection that I have that really helps me get rid of all the other stuff.
Excellent. So hopefully that cleared a few things up for some of the folks that may have been
I have
watching.
a question.
Yes, Felicia.
Is pup limited to those that identify as male, or can it be those that identify as female?
No, not at all. No, it doesn't really matter what gender or non-gender a person identifies. It can be, yeah, everybody is quite accepting. I will say that like that's a community that has changed. When we first started like having pup nights and that sort of thing, it was very much about pups, and cats weren't necessarily especially welcome. Like people who took on different personas weren't necessarily as welcome as they probably could have been, and that's kind of changed. Now you have a whole lot of people with very open minds about how that should all operate. Yeah, because it came out of the boy experience, which came out of the slave idea, right? And so if you sort of watch this progression of like, a slave and then sort of boy, where boys were taking ownership of themselves versus simply being someone else's, and their only existence was someone else's existence. And so being a boy is really about owning the fact that I can have myself and I get to experience this in a way that I want to experience it. And being a pup just carries that one step further, I think, as well. So if you think of it as that in terms of progression, for me, that sort of works. For other people, their experience is very different from that. Furries, on the other hand, kind of enter off to the side, I think, and they don't necessarily identify as any of that stuff.
Right. So being like a pup and having a hand within that sort of dom sub relationship dynamic, right?
Mm-hmm. So I missed the first part of your question, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. The being a pup and having a handler is basically falls under the same within the same brackets as sort of a sort of relationship.
Yeah. It's brackets is a good way to put it. Yeah, it's in the Venn diagram they kind of overlap, right?
Gotcha. So another thing that we talk about a lot is playing safe, making good decisions, that kind of thing. And you're involved in the leather community, and the leather community is known for, as you said, being more open, shall we say?
Sure.
And you also your work at the Southwest Center. How do those things tend to intersect? Because you are you're the prep guy, and so you are around, I'm sure, a lot of risky behavior fairly often.
Sure. So let me say one thing up front. So I'm no longer the prep guy. We actually have two prep guys, Gabriel and Steven.
Never mind that. Okay, so we're gonna have to hang up now because we
right. So we're done.
Right. Sorry.
A little plug. They are awesome, and so we have a whole section of our team who focuses on helping people get on prep. And so I think the answer to your, I was the prep guy. Yeah, and I started the program and stuff. So yeah, there's that. I think that for me, the ability to talk about sex really kind of all day in my work is a lot like leather, because really in the leather community, we talk very freely about sex and very openly. And I think that in terms of safety and connection and those sorts of things, I see it all kind of lumped together. I don't see a whole... I think that the idea of safety in the leather community is really about communication and about reducing stigma with each other and holding each other up to be the fullness of ourselves. And I think that that's the same thing with what I do for work. We help people. We want people to be the fullness of themselves. And whether they're HIV positive or whether they are leather folk or whether they're none of the above or heterosexual or any of the above, we're there to embrace the fullness of who they are. And I think that that within the context of sex, the whole puritanical concept of like we can't do these things, we can't talk about it, and I think that's what leads to unsafe behavior, and I think that's what leads to unsafe spaces,
Absolutely.
right? How does consent happen when we can't even talk about what is happening? And so I think that that's really that's how the two kind of connect for me. At the Southwest Center, we talk about sex a lot, and we talk about that with our clients in prevention programs and in care programs. Yeah, I don't. That's really the great thing about what I do now. I left the field for a while, so like I started off in a volunteer agency. I wasn't a volunteer; I got paid, but in an agency similar to where I am now in Kentucky. And then I left for 10 years, and then I came back. And being able to come back was, oh my gosh, it was like the coolest thing ever. I got to be myself at work as well as in the Phoenix Boys and as well as in my community. And so I don't have to like divide off my life now.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
That's fantastic. I know too many people have to like censor themselves because they work an office job during the day and then, go home and put on a foot kind of thing. So it's like,
Great.
Well, that was, I was going to say that's my tip, but yeah, I mean, that's technically my tip, whatever. That's, figure I'm going to take advantage of Rocko being here. Fuck, whatever, it's fine.
Absolutely.
What have we got for current events, Felicia?
Oh my gosh. So we have I was going to say the Phoenix mayor, but never mind.
Well,
but, the Vegas mayor wants to open up, even though the CDC has not released anything that says we are safe to reopen. I know that people are getting antsy, but this sounded like the mayor was like, we have to do this. We have to do this, and like every time
she almost gave Anderson Cooper fucking coronary during the interview.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, why would you do that? Oh my god. And then
you see that she actually volunteered Vegas to be a control population. She's like, well, we can just go ahead and open all this up and then we'll just see what happens and be the control and la 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 la. And Anderson Cooper literally was like, I cannot like.
And he's usually composed and like, yeah, this is great.
Right.
And he just shut down. He was like, I can't. And if he
took his glasses off and was like, oh yeah.
He was like, I don't know what to say to you. And then she did like a Facebook Live or something, and she was like, she's telling the plan of how she's gonna. They're going to open in phases and that it's good for Vegas. But to me, I'm thinking, okay, so the people get paid to go there. But what if people are not going to Vegas because we're still pretty much shut down?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? They can go ahead and open Vegas. I'm staying right the fuck here because I don't trust any of y'all. I'm sorry. No, not happening. Like,
well, our governor was just gung-ho about, let's open things up. We'll talk about it soon. I'm like, oh, God.
Apparently nobody reads a fucking history book because this is exactly what they did with the Spanish flu.
1918, all over again. Like,
seriously, this is exactly what we've done. Like, almost exactly 100 years later, this is what we're doing. Again. The first round of the Spanish flu killed off, between 3 and 5 million people?
Correct.
And then they were like, okay, yay, we're done. We'll just go ahead and do whatever the fuck. And then, in the second wave, we're talking, 30 million people?
Right. Yeah. Well, they had parades. They had parades where, World War II was going on, or World War I, was going on. And then there was this whole connection where suddenly all these people got together and were throwing parades. And it just makes sense.
Oh, my God. Actually, this is brilliant. This is fucking brilliant. Hey, let's have Trump rallies. Can we have Trump rallies?
Oh, you want more?
Let's have Trump rallies. All the Trump rallies. You guys go ahead, get out there. All you Trump supporters, you know what? You get out there and you have your rallies. You go ahead. Go to that. So, have all the parades, have rallies. Please, by all means, you know what? I will support that 100%. You want to support your candidate? Go do the thing, please.
But,
please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do
So
have
I get what you're saying, but I also think it's kind of dark to say that, right? So
yeah.
like when
It
we
is,
start
but
talking about like the difference between taking safety precautions and people living, and the reason we care about all of this is because we want to protect the people who are most vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I don't know. It's when I see people protesting and I don't want them to get it either. I don't want anyone to die from this thing.
what's
It's horrible.
cracking me up is you see the fucking protesters that are like, this is all a fucking hoax, blah 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 blah. They're
Oh.
protesting, but they're wearing masks. They're wearing masks. Why are you wearing a mask?
If you don't believe in it,
hypocrites.
why are you covering your face?
Right.
And they're holding signs with like really shitty grammar and really shitty spelling, and I'm like, okay, instead of worrying about your nail salon being open, maybe you should be more concerned about the schools being open because, listen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do need mine done though.
Man, I need a pedicure like nobody's fucking business. Like, I'm like, can I figure out how to get one with 6 feet away? Can you get the little grabby hand things and give me a pedicure that way? Like, there's got to be something. I don't know. There's got to be fucking something.
Yeah.
I'm definitely missing Douglas. My hair is a mess. My beard is all bushy. Yeah.
I don't know what to do. Oh my god, my hair. I am so worried because I'm starting to get like, this is the point where I'm like, okay, I can go about another week and then I have to go get a haircut. I don't know what I'm gonna do. My hair is too thin to look even remotely decent if it's gonna get much longer than this. Like,
Oh my
like
god!
Those dudes that like the dudes that have like no hair on the top but like super long and like thick in the back. Like that's what I'm gonna end up looking
Donald
like.
Trump. Donald Trump.
If I can't get this shit taken care of, like I'm not okay with this.
You and I are in the same boat. It's I get it. Yeah.
I'm gonna start going through all my wigs. You know, I'm gonna go shopping and like wigs and things because I don't want to. Like, it's gonna be horrible.
Oh my god. Oh my god. But I would say during the protest, the true heroes were like the nurses and the doctors that went out and stopped the people. Nearly got ran over, mind you, but stopped the people and said, "Please, please, for the love of God, go home." Now, for me, I rather listen to the people that are in the medical field than listen to the people that are politicians telling me that I need to either go somewhere or, you know, do something. Now, if a medical professional, and they say it in groups,
right,
are like, this is deadly, you should go home, my ass is going home. I'm not, okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
My thing is when you look at those two groups and they were so starkly contrasted, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at those two groups and you ask the question, well, which one actually cares more about me, right? Which one would have compassion and care and concern about what happens to me? Is it the people who are screaming out of trucks and hanging out the side of the, or is it the people who are taking care of people like myself all day long, right?
And that's, and obviously the people, you know, waving flags and holding poorly spelled signs and things have zero compassion for pretty much anybody. So it's like, well, sorry, I don't care really about anything that you have to say. Cause,
I say that the healthcare workers are working down to the bare minimum at this point. There was a couple pictures, I meant to save them so I could show them, but that a lady had a blister on her nose. She's a healthcare worker, and that's after like a 12-hour shift. She got a blister on her nose, and she just in her post
around their eyes, around like where their mouths are, like they're blistering and like sores and like
from the personal protective equipment.
And they're like in their post are begging people, like they're using the hashtag on purpose, like you know, like you use like hashtag thank you health heroes. They are using those to like tell people, hey, this is cool that you're using this hashtag, but this is real. Like I am bruising on my face. Like you have no idea what it's like. And one lady made me cry. I read her Instagram. Oh my god, she's talking about how she has to watch people die, and she didn't. And she did not sign up to watch people die. She signed up to help them. And so when you think that you can just go willy-nilly into Wet Beaver Creek, not you, but groups of people.
There was nobody around. I made sure, goddammit.
But I mean, like, groups of people go
Right.
out there and I keep seeing pictures of, like, Camelback Mountain, people just
Right.
up there, and I'm like, why? I love every single one of you, but if you don't live, this is going to be your own demise. I didn't tell you to go up there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
People are not being smart.
So,
oh, Lord. So, okay, let's see. We've already basically talked to Rocko about all the things. So, okay, well, we haven't really talked, because we talked about the things that you really, we talked about what you love about your job and things like that. I think we have to talk a little bit about the Phoenix Boys of Leather, because I started hanging out with you guys a little bit a few months ago, which has been fantastic. I've been trying to get on the Zoom meetings, but it's been rough. But I started hanging out with you guys for a little bit, and I fucking love it, and I miss Thursday night coffee. Like, I really do. Like, I'm dying, and this is rough. But tell us a little bit about the Phoenix Boys of Leather. Why? Tell us a little bit about the group. What do you like about it? Why would you? Or who would you, your sort of demographic, like, who would you be like, hey, you know what, if you're interested in X, Y, Z, come hang out with us, come talk to us,
Sure. So the Phoenix Boys of Leather is actually the longest continuously running boy club in the country, and boy clubs really got started in the early 2000s as a result of boys kind of standing up for themselves and saying, hey, I don't only exist within this relationship of myself with the dom. I actually exist much better with other people who are like myself. And so it was a way to find community that was outside of the expression of just one person relationship. And so the DC Boys of Leather got started, I think, was the first one. And the Phoenix Boys of Leather wasn't too long after that, and we've been continuously going ever since. In 2010, we started meeting every week, every Thursday, and so we've kept that up for like 10 years now.
Wow.
So yeah, and it has become like Thursday nights are my night. Like, that's the night that I don't let anything else happen if I can help it. And I go out and I hang out with my brothers and my friends. And we have a very, very tight-knit community of people who just really like each other. Like,
and it's not just boys. There are like you can't necessarily be a member, but as far as the coffee nights go and things like that, then it's not just the boys.
Yeah, so membership is reserved for people who identify with the boy spirit, who identify as boys, and that is regardless of gender or any of that stuff. Being a boy isn't about being a male per se; it's about having boy energy, and so and connecting with the boy spirit. So for us, really, it's a kinky group. It's a kinkster group, we all of us really kind of create a safe space to express ourselves. And there are daddies and there are sirs and there are, kind of everything in between. If you're not a boy, then we have official members as well. I'm sorry, official friends, I should say. And so, yeah, so what it is for us is we get together every Thursday and we just hang out. We go to dinner first. We have coffee at the Grand at 7:00, and then we go to Anvil usually at 9 and do karaoke, and we just spend the entire night together, kind of hanging out together and enjoying each other's company. It's been really fun getting to know you, for example.
It's been I've absolutely loved it. Like, I've really enjoyed being able to go and just kick it with folks and talk to people, and and then go to Anvil and do some karaoke, and it's a good sort of break from things, and everybody is so awesome. Like, everybody's just
I think one of the things about our group is that there really is a lack of pretension in the group, and so everybody is welcome to come and just hang out. Half the nights on Thursday nights, we just hang out and talk. It's just a social night, and we don't have any agenda. There's always an agenda, but for the most part, no agenda, and you can just move from small group to small group or person to person and talk and really get to know them. Uh, that's not to say that some people don't play with each other. Of course they do. Lots of things like that. We have gear nights every last Saturday at Anvil. We've been doing that for like 15 years. And it's really pretty incredible. It's the best leather club I've ever seen. And I'm a little biased. I get it. But I put a lot of time and energy into it because I think that it is a place where people can really grow and find that connection that they're looking for. It's not for everybody. Not everybody needs to come out to that. It's not, if you're not kinky, if you're not looking to get close to people, if you're just looking to I don't know, whatever that isn't that, then that's probably not the right place for you. So yeah, but we get together every Thursday night. You should come out and see us if you are interested in that sort of thing.
Yeah, I need this shit to be done because I need to go back to Thursdays. Like I need.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss my brothers. I miss my peeps.
Yeah, it's I miss her. I trust me, I miss all y'all too. I'm like, this is shitty and I hate it.
Yeah. We also have every third Thursday is a discussion night, and everybody is welcome. You don't have to be a member to come out and hang out with us. And we pick a topic, and we just explore it for about an hour and a half. And we sit in a big circle, and these are some of the most honest conversations that I've ever experienced.
They're fantastic. I love the discussion nights. Yeah.
Do you know?
We do have a question.
Do you know the topic
real quick
before?
What?
Do you know the topic before?
Do I know the topic before? Oh, yes. The topic is decided ahead of time. That I can answer that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the topic is decided at our at the business meeting, which is the first Thursday of the month.
Okay.
Felicia, the video on Facebook is crazy. It's like a giant thing of my head.
Yeah, I keep playing with it, and I messed up something, so just keep going.
Oh my God. So we have a question. Christopher J. Hall wants to know if there's any work that the Phoenix leather community does with the Tucson leather community that is smaller, but it's trying to grow. Like, are there any mutual collaboration efforts, anything like that that's happening?
So there are. We actually go down there periodically, probably at least once a quarter, and go to support the Desert Leather Club down there. They go hang out at Brody's quite often. And I know that there's a pretty sizable pub community there too. It's not like it is here in Phoenix. Phoenix is fairly large, and the Phoenix Boys is a pretty sizable group for what it is. It's probably one of the largest boy clubs in the country. I'm not sure exactly, but I think it's probably the largest. In Tucson, we want to try and build those bridges. And so a lot of the Tucson folks come up here for Pup Night, which is the third Friday of the month, at Anvil, or they come up for Gear Night. We go down there for their Gear Nights at Brody's sometimes, and we have a great time every time we go. This last time we went down, Safe was representing there. So really, there is a lot of connection between us and Tucson.
Wow.
Great question.
Excellent. All right, I think Felicia has a game for you.
Yeah. So we like to call this or that. Just go for it, okay? Lick toe jam between somebody's toes or lick a soiled bathroom floor?
Toe jam.
Quick and no satisfaction or slow, steady, and very satisfied?
Slow, steady, and very satisfied every time.
Okay. Comedy or live action?
Comedy.
For the rest of your life, you had to listen to never-ending music loop or hear a sound that nobody else hears.
Never-ending music loop. I already have that in my head. I am always I get songs stuck in my head really, really, really easily. And if I don't have a song to go back to, I have this little ditty that I sing in my head that is constant. So I'm a little OCD about it. It's kind of awful.
Oh, wow.
Dave Watt at work actually put words to it. It's da 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 da, and it's on a continuous loop in my head all of my life. So yeah,
Wow.
Rocko's here. Everything's going to be great. Over and over and over.
Wow.
Oh shit.
Whoa. Okay. The more you know.
The more you know.
Oh god.
So where can people find out information about the Southwest Center and other programs that are happening?
Yeah. Absolutely. So you can go to swcenter.org is our website, or you can check out Southwest Center on Facebook. Our Instagram is very active as well. And some of the programs that we offer, so we offer medical case management and supportive services for people who are HIV positive. We also have early intervention services for people who are newly diagnosed or want to get re-engaged in care. We have the T Phoenix, which is we call it status equal or no status even group where that's specifically designed for men of color between the ages of 18 and 29. And it's a fabulous group run by Andrew Rascone. They meet weekly and just do a fantastic job of getting out in the community. We have Ignite Your Pride, and that's our outreach and testing area. So they do the condom bar. We deliver hundreds of thousands of condoms every year.
I have gotten many condoms from the Ignite condom bar.
That's awesome. So you can also go
and
to
I'm
Nice
using them.
Just be sure to refresh them. They do expire.
Trust me, I go through them and I'm like, well, fuck this one.
Oh my gosh.
Might as well fuck this one too. Fuck this one.
They work for toys too. Come on now.
Oh, trust me, no, that I know. Trust me, I'm not using any of them right now.
No,
it's terrible. It's awful. It is not fair.
Is that healthy?
God damn it.
But during this time, you can go to nicepackage.org, and we are still delivering condoms. There's a really nice article written in the Arizona Republic about that, and it's a statewide program. It's actually Southern Nevada and all of Arizona. Anyone in the state can request condoms for free, and we'll mail it to them.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, very exciting stuff. And then we also have the PrEP guys. They'll help people get on PrEP at no charge, and then help them figure out how to pay for it and all of that. We have a nurse practitioner and a clinic at the center. We do roughly 9,000 to 10,000 HIV tests and STD tests a year, or STI tests a year. And that's all free as well. So we have some really pretty incredible programs, and we appreciate the community support and in all of that. We make sure I got everything that was listed there. Oh, we also have bilingual services too. So and interventions for people who are HIV positive. We don't like to use the term interventions, really like life coaching, called Clear Actions. And you don't have to be positive. It's also for negative individuals. And it's kind of like a 5-session life coaching course. We have some people who are really talented at that. And then we also have a trans navigation program, trans empowerment program. That is absolutely incredible. And so if anybody needs any of those services, they can call us at 602-307-5330, or just look us up online at swcenter.org. We are also doing Ignite Online and E-Sexual Health Chat, where during the day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 6 every day, we are offering a chance to just talk to somebody. So you can talk to one of our testers. They're working from home as well. And it's GoToMeeting. You just enter the room number and go in there, and you're in this room face to face with somebody else, and you can ask any question that you want. So check us out. We love our community, and frankly, our community loves us back. So
absolutely,
it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks for letting me do it.
Where can folks find the Phoenix Boys of Leather if they want information on meetups and all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check us out on Facebook. It's Phoenix Boys of Leather on Facebook, and then it is also phoenixboysofleather.org. I think it's org. Become. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But Phoenix Boys of Leather online as well. And we have a website that is interactive. You can join it and stay up to date. You please go and like our Facebook page. Our Instagram page is just really just a feed from from our Facebook page. So.
Best of both worlds. Yeah. Sometimes people like to be on one or not the other. So.
Yeah, I'm not an Instagram person. I wish it's what the young kids are doing today. I get it, but.
Wow.
Oh shit!
Hide over here.
What have you got coming up, Felicia? Anything interesting?
What I didn't talk about is that I volunteered myself. I volunteered to be on. I'm not sure if it's like a board or what, but for virtual Arizona Pride.
Nice.
So they are going to have more regular events, and it's going to be the third Saturday of every month. The first one kicking off on May 16th, and that's still in the works, but it has been announced.
Nice.
So
let me know if you need me for anything. I'm not doing anything,
It's still in the
I got some
works.
time on my hands.
You? I would have never guessed.
I know.
But some things in the works. But you do have some things. Hold on.
I do. I have one thing. So on May 1st at 9 p.m., streaming from Twitch, is going to be basically a Kings of Arizona show. So we're all basically pre-recording a bunch of numbers, which is what I was doing in fucking Wet Beaver Creek. And then on Twitch, I think it's Eddie's channel, and he just joined and created one, so it'll be on his channel. So get a Twitch, and it's 9 p.m. and I think it's twitch.tv/Eddie Broadway, I think, or something like that is what the channel is.
I put it on the screen.
So because of this, I decided to go ahead and sign up for Twitch.
Uh-huh.
Still don't know what the fuck it is, and I don't know why the hell I want it, but whatever. So, okay.
All I can say is...
So it's like, okay, so I go in and I start signing up for things, okay, and it's like, okay, you have to enter your password. I'm like, okay, fine, let me create a password. And so I create a password that has all of the things that it tells me it needs to have, right? It says, no, it's too weak, you have to have something else. I'm like... Okay, what the fuck? So then I try a different one, and it's like, yeah, no, that's too weak too. You need something else. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? So I put in my work password, the password that I use to log into my systems at work that I swear to God needs my fucking blood type, needs my fucking shoe size, the name of my, uncle's, second cousin twice removed, and, an @ sign, okay? So I put in all of this fucking, it's a stupid whatever, and it's like, no, you need something that's stronger. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It took me literally 20 minutes to come up with a fucking password that Twitch was okay with. And I don't even remember what the fucking password is anymore because it had so many goddamn special characters and shit. I'm like, why? Why is this necessary? It's a fucking streaming service. Why do I need a password that is 26 characters long, containing 87 special characters, 4 lowercase, 26, 18 uppercase, and an accent over the E. Like, what the fuck, Twitch?
You know what would be funny? You know what would be funny?
It didn't save my password, because if it didn't save my, if I go back into it and it didn't save it, I'm fucked, because I have no idea what the fuck my password is.
You know what would be funny is if somebody hacks your account after all that.
I'd be like, you know what? More power to you. You want my streaming? Go. Take it. You deserve it. You fucking deserve it. If you can hack that shit, fucking take it. Because I swear to God.
Wow. Wow. And this is why Freddy doesn't do technology.
My work password is pretty strong, considering I have to use it to log into a laptop where I deal with HIPAA things and federally mandated things and sensitive information. No, that password wasn't fucking good enough for Twitch. Fuck you, Twitch!
Oh, wow.
Wait, fuck?
Wow.
I've never had such a fucking frustrating. Oh my god. Yeah.
That's a lot of passion about Twitch.
It took him, what, we've been on there for about 2 years, and it took him about 2 years to just like...
I subscribed to the channel. I don't know.
We don't get much traffic on there. I just have us on there because somebody asked me to do it, and
Oh, well, I now subscribe, so we have one more subscriber. I don't know that it'll make a difference because I probably won't be able to get back into my account, but it's fine.
It's a resounding endorsement.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Anyhow, so next week we have Espresso Grande, Miss Gay Arizona America. And we also have coming up after that Binti Blessed, Serotonin, Miss C7, and she runs the Trans Spectrum. And then we have Tucson's Mary Jane and Ruby. How do you say her last name?
Renard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have more guests, but some people had some difficulties filling out the form. I think they are too ranting in their mind about how you just went off about Twitch on a Google form. So when they figure out how to fill out a Google form, then we'll go ahead and announce the rest of that. Watch, they won't go on the show because they just heard me talking.
Right. Now that you just said that.
We are brought to you by Wigs of a Kind. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them at Wigs of a Kind, all one word. We're brought to you by also the Burly Barber. You can find them at theburlybarbers.com. And I talked to John yesterday. He does not want anybody to buy gift certificates at this point. I was like, oh. I just wanted to give you money, but okay, bye.
Never mind. Don't buy a fucking gift certificate.
A special thanks to all of you who support us on Patreon. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Let's Have a Fefe. You can also tip us, again, I'm going to say this again, at paypal.me/Let's Have a Fefe. And also, y'all have begged me for these shirts, and now nobody is saying anything. So,
right, of course.
If you want a Let's Have a Fefe shirt, please send a message to either the page, send it to Freddy, send it to me, because I'm the one with the spreadsheet with all the sizes and how much it's going to cost. Come on.
Right. Everybody wanted one. They're all like, me, and then all of a sudden, cricket. So
if me and Freddy have one, then people are going to be like, oh, where's my shirt? I'm going to be like...
Right, they're going to be like, where's my shirt? We'll be like, well, look, bitch, okay.
I'm not going to spend like 6 weeks asking for your shirt sizes, but you
right.
do you. Be sure to like this episode, subscribe, and share it with your friends, enemies, and we did talk about them tonight, so send it to your Trump supporter friends, because they need to know that we are all about them meeting together in public spaces, and I mean, as long as they meet in public spaces a lot before November,
right?
Just make sure that it happens very quickly. Make sure you have like 3 in a week. I think that's better. You can also subscribe to us as a podcast as soon as I get my lazy butt up and finish putting all of them up. You can listen to them on Google Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you don't have to, but I want.
But
to.
You should. I mean, let's be real.
Special thanks to our guest, Rocko Cook. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh wait. Oh my gosh, you have to watch this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I don't want it to...
You put applause in there? Did you really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You have to do it. I'll do it again.
That was great having you on, Rocko. I'm glad we were able to
thank you.
reschedule and have you back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I really appreciate the invitation. I do have one last plug. I forgot to mention this, and I really should have. We do have behavioral counseling services at the Southwest Center as well. And so, if you would like affirmative counseling or medical clinic services, we have a nurse practitioner, we have counselors on staff, and they are doing telemedicine and telecounseling. So you
awesome.
can do it through online, so you don't ever have to go in and expose yourself. So 602-307-5330.
I don't have to go anywhere to expose myself.
Touche.
You're welcome.
So we will see you next week for your Wednesday night conversation where our special guest is Espresso Grande. This has been Let's Have a Fefe. Good night.
Good night, y'all.
Night.